Oye, pero es mucho más.
Now that I've gotten your attention with that amazing level of consistency achieved with the Etek 5, maybe I'll be able to demonstrate how to achieve it by just tuning your Etek 5, possibly getting a softer shot, a more consistent shot, better efficiency, tons of little things by just adjusting two main parts of the gun, which are the LPR and the dwell. LPR adjustability is pretty straightforward, clockwise for less pressure, counterclockwise for more pressure. To adjust the dwell, you must hold down the trigger and then turn the gun on. That'll set you to your programming mode. You can find the dwell option and adjust it from there. If you have the OLED, this is pretty straightforward and you don't really need much of an explanation. But if you have the standard LED, observe and listen up because I'm about to show you how to adjust the dwell to your liking. The first thing you're going to want to do is confirm what color the dwell is. It is purple. There's a nice little sticker inside the grips that'll tell you everything you need to know. Keep in mind that if you think you messed up or you're not sure exactly what you did, you can always reset the board to factory settings. The button can be found right next to the connectors. Alright, so let's go to step 1. We hold down our trigger, then we add the power button, and that'll get us into our programming mode. In our programming mode, we're going to have different colors whenever we push the trigger. The color that we want is the color purple. Purple! We're at our dwell setting. So, here's what we're going to want to do. Once we see the purple light, we push down the power button for 1 second until the light turns off. Then, pull the trigger however many times you want to adjust the one spot. This can be anywhere from 8 to 16. Give your power button another push and then hit the trigger for however many times you want the 10th spot. If you want it at 0, don't do anything and press the power button again. If the value is accepted, you should get a blinking green light. Now before we start adjusting dwell, let's try to understand it a little bit. Dwell is basically how much time the board tells the solenoid to open up for air, to push the rammer forward, to open the poppet, to release air into the gun, thus shooting the paintball. A poorly set up dwell can lead to disastrous results.
Esa es la idea. Espérate, no está enfocando.
Mucha diferencia.
Uy, sí.
Keep in mind that was shot right after what you saw in the intro. We just purposely adjusted the dwell to make it shoot horribly. As you can see on the screen, on the left we have the lowest dwell you can have on the Etek 5, which is 8 milliseconds, and we have a fast bolt and a quick reaction time right after the trigger pull. And at 16 milliseconds, we have a slower bolt that reacts just a tad bit after the trigger pull. Keep in mind, this is in milliseconds. You can hardly feel the difference when you're actually shooting them. You can try many different combos. For example, a low LPR pressure when a high dwell will be a softer shot and will treat paint better. And then you'll have a high LPR pressure with a low dwell that's got fast trigger response time, which is great for semi-auto. But you just can't adjust these things just like that. You've got to find a perfect point to achieve this.
Oye, pero es mucho más.
Now, you can't really have a quote-unquote tuned gun if you're shooting all over the place, even if it feels great in your hands. I mean, if you have inconsistent velocity, then forget about it. Your gun's not properly tuned. Now, before we actually start tuning, it is important to keep in mind that if you do this wrong, you could end up hurting your gun. So, factors like tank output pressure and high pressure regulator pressure are things to keep in mind. So I recommend you set your regulators to factory before you start. All that can be found in the manual, and as well as your dwell, and then gradually go up or down, and then be adjusting to the results that you like. Because if you mess this up, you could, well, fry your solenoid, and you don't want that. Now, I found that super low pressure or SLP tank regs results in a very, 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 very small sweet spot for the tuning of the Etek 5. I literally spent 2 pods trying to find the sweet spot on the SLP reg, and until I finally kind of got it, it was I had a standard deviation of about 10 feet per second on the chrono, which means that every shot would be either 10 more or 10 less. And my recommendation is to run a standard tank reg, and an output pressure from 600 to 800 should do just fine. And your sweet spot will be a lot larger, which will give you the chance to go for a smoother shot or a more efficient and more responsive shot with the same consistency. And, well, that's what you want overall. Sorry I don't have a video of me tuning the Etek. I recorded it, but it really was just a bunch of useless footage, and just me telling you exactly what I found is, I find, more productive. So, before you screw in your tank, set everything to factory, including your dwell, and just slightly. And I also recommend that you don't touch your high pressure regulator, because if you get consistency with the pressure low, all you have to do is crank up the velocity, and that should do just fine as far as consistency. But if you crank it up too high and then you start messing up your dwell, you could really pound your internals a bit too hard. So yeah, that's pretty much it. On the screen you can see the settings that I use to achieve this sweet spot. More or less for me, it was a soft shot that treated brittle paint very, very well. And yeah, good luck tuning your gun. I hope you have the best. Keep in mind that barrel ball-to-bore matches can affect your consistency a bit too. Anyway, have a nice day, guys. Hope you learned something.